Hello everyone, and it's time to panic. It's time to panic if you're a DPS class. Oh my god, they're nerfing the DPS. Oh, how can they do this to us? How dare you, BioWare? How dare you nerf our DPS, our precious numbers? Oh, you're taking it away. Of course, if you read between the lines and actually read what they say, they're not nerfing the DPS. Read between the lines. They are reducing the DPS. Yes, they're reducing the number. However, they are not changing the relative damage output. So you're, in relative terms, nothing's gonna change. Yes, your damage numbers are gonna go down, but the game is going to be balanced around the new damage numbers. So you're not losing anything. How are you losing anything? Someone tell me how we're losing anything. What they've said was you will do the same amount of damage as you're doing now at level 60, at level 55. So that means they are nerfing the global damage. So every single level is going to have lower damage. So at level 50 you're going to be doing lower damage, at level 40 you're going to be doing lower damage, at level 60 you're going to be doing the same damage as level 55 right now. At level 55 in 3.0, bear in mind that level 55 in 3.0 is just another level. Okay, it's just 5 levels away from the end. So who cares what our DPS is at level 55? What's going to happen in the future is players are going to get to 55 and then just go to level 56. It's just another level. It's not endgame anymore. We are going from 55 and then we'll go to endgame at 60. So balancing the game around 55 is pointless. 55 is gone in 3.0. We're balancing the game around 60, and what they're doing is they are taking the DPS numbers and squishing them. They're not nerfing them, they are just bringing them more in line. Of course they will rebalance most of the boss fights, so everything is going to be rebalanced. Of course they've made changes to the leveling mobs. They've said they'll now die faster, which I don't get. Does that mean they're going to have even less health or what? I mean, it's a good change. I mean, it's a good change for tank classes and healer classes for leveling, I think. So they are going to balance the game. They're not going to give you lower DPS and then have level 55 content that's harder than level 60 content, because that is game breaking. Not even BioWare are that dumb. Okay, they're not that dumb. So if you think they're that dumb, seriously, I read the forums and it's funny. Go read the forums. I mean, it's just an awesome sort of hive of ignorance on the forums. It reminds me of when World of Warcraft a few weeks ago, they did the patch 6.0.2, and I read some of the WoW forums and they were funny as hell. It's like, oh, my class has been nerfed, my class is broken, I had 600k HP, I now have 80k HP, my class is broken. No, your class isn't broken. What World of Warcraft did, if you don't know, what Blizzard did was they took all the stats and squished them, essentially. So essentially they took out the power curve, and level 100 is going to be the reset, so that's the new end game for them. And they took all your stats and squished them, so you didn't lose anything either in that. You know, your 80k HP might have been 600k HP pre 6.0.2. So this will probably be the same thing. The only question that you have to ask is DPS the only stat, or is damage output the only stat to be lowered? And how are they going to lower it? Are they just going to give us less main stat? But are they going to keep things like endurance? Because I can imagine PvP being a little bit boring if you're just sitting there whacking each other with glow sticks, you know, for 10 minutes and not really getting anywhere. So you're going to have to nerf HP on the players as well. I would say squishing all the stats would be a wise move, because we don't want to be like World of Warcraft was. We don't want to be hitting for a million, you know, 1 million Chaos Bolt. If you got a crit on Chaos Bolt, you're hitting for 1 million damage. You don't want to see those kind of numbers. I mean, bear in mind that DPS is relative. DPS is only relative to the content that you're doing. So the content at 60 will be balanced around these new DPS figures. And level 55 content, let's be honest, who cares? I mean, who the hell cares about Dread Fortress and Dread Palace? As soon as the expansion rolls out, I never ever want to set foot in Dread Fortress or Dread Palace again. Okay, I never want to do that again. So I quite frankly am happy to see the back of Dread Fortress and Dread Palace, and if we can't do it, excellent. So I mean, I don't know what the fuss is about. So they're gonna rebalance the game. I mean, the DPS are pulling ridiculous numbers right now. It is just so insanely stupid at the moment. Operations are a joke right now. The 16-man group finder ops, complete joke. Complete and utter joke. There is no challenge for DPS in this game really in PvE anymore, because all they did, I mean, I see this as an admission of failure in 2.0. Throughout Rise of the Hutt Cartel, all they did was buff the DPS. For the last few patches, they buffed certain classes, they buffed assassins, they buffed marauders, they buffed, you know, buffed everything really except snipers. Really, they didn't really get much of a buff, to be honest. But yeah, they buffed all the DPS classes, and to be honest, it was a pain as a tank, a pain for a tank and a pain for a healer. Because we had to heal those DPS classes. But it would be nice to see Endurance get a nerf as well. I think there's too much HP going on in the game, but bring HP in line with this damage, nerf a lot of the other stats as well. So what else did we learn from this live stream that I didn't watch and just read the notes on? I just read the notes. I'm reading Dolphy's notes that she posted up, so that's all I'm reading. So I'm just reading through these notes right now. Everyone getting a raid buff, which is interesting. It will be interesting to see, are they going to get rid of the class buffs? That would be my question. I don't watch their live stream because I live stream at the same time. I was too busy with the Evolve Big Alpha to care, to be honest. I was doing the Evolve Big Alpha, which was kind of didn't work. It was a disaster, so we ended up live streaming SWTOR anyway. But I always live stream at that time on a Friday, so I always miss it, to be honest. I'm always streaming myself. So I never like developer live streams, if I'm perfectly honest with you. I don't like them. They just sugarcoat everything and never bothered tackling the real issues with the game, so I never watched them, to be honest. So everyone's getting a raid buff now, and they really want us to care about alacrity is the other thing. They really love their alacrity. I mean, most classes don't see the point in it. The problem is, if you have things like Surge, that provides a direct benefit to our damage, like if we have auto crits, maybe they should be gotten rid of for 3.0. Maybe we'll care about alacrity then, because if you're a lightning sorcerer, for example, why would you want to cast things faster? I want it to hit more. Because that's your choice. Your choice is Power Surge or Power Alacrity mods. And every single time you're going to take Power Surge. It's just a direct damage increase. It doesn't matter if you're channeling. It doesn't matter if you're channeling for, you know, an extra 0.2 of a second. You know, who cares? Because the thing's going to hit harder. I don't care about it. Things like your dots are going to tick faster. Your key presses apparently are going to... It says... where did it say that? Alacrity changes. It says you should be hitting all of your buttons 20% faster if you have 20% alacrity. It's like, yeah, what is it going to press the button for me now? I don't get that. So it's going to reduce cooldowns on procs, which maybe it's going to speed up dot ticks, it's going to speed up the channeled abilities, it's going to reduce the global cooldown, it's going to speed up resource generation. So, I mean... Again, as a lightning we take the lightning sorcerer for example. We don't care about resource regeneration. It's not an issue for us. We are standing still to cast. I suppose it is less time to stand still, but then again, our thundering blast is not gonna hit as hard. So we get, and you know, again, the argument is always we're gonna take Surge over alacrity because you cap your accuracy. You don't really need crit. So the choice is Power Surge or Power Alacrity. And you're always going to take Power Surge because Power and Surge are a direct damage increase to your Thundering Blast. And the goal of Thundering Blast is to get that ability to hit like a truck. That is it. That's really the goal for the Lightning Sorcerer, because that's where the majority of your damage comes from. So we're just using that as an example of where Alacrity doesn't work. Also, channeled abilities are going to consume energy per tick. Well, consume a resource per tick rather than consuming all in one resources. That means if you're channel gets interrupted, it will cost less energy. So if you have to move out of something, you've not wasted a channel, so you're not wasting resources, I suppose. The downside to this is most of us use channeled abilities as a way to as a buffer kind of thing for a resource regeneration, especially on classes like the mercenary and the sniper. Like, you use a series of shots as filler in lethality in order to let your cull come off cooldown, and gives your energy a chance to regenerate as well. So are we gonna have to now use ambush now? Is the thing, because that won't cost anything. It'll do less damage, of course, but we might have to use ambush now instead of that. I did have a look at the new lethality spec, which I don't like. It's called Virulence, and stop renaming things, for the love of God, BioWare. Please stop renaming things. I don't like it. It's confusing to new players. It's confusing for me, because I'll talk about it as lethality and it's called Virulence. It's the same spec. Essentially, it's the same as lethality. And what have they given us in 3.0 for lethality? We got an extra dot, which, it's okay. It's an extra single target dot. And also, corrosive grenade now can provide corrosive darts to anything. So if you use corrosive dart on a target, and there's multiple targets, you hit corrosive dart on a single target, you then throw your corrosive grenade. What's going to happen is your corrosive dart is going to spread to all the targets that get hit with your corrosive grenade. So that's quite a good change. That's actually quite a cool change, actually. I quite like that. It's more dots, and it makes us a better multi-dotter, because multi-dotting is always the key to getting those big damage numbers from a dot spec again. So that's a good change. I'm quite happy with that change, actually. It's quite a nice change. It does change the order that we're going to use our rotation, because we're going to put corrosive dart on first, because I usually put corrosive grenade on first, but it's not a big change. It's just a different key you press, essentially. So we're just pressing the keys in a different order, essentially. So what else have we got that's changing in 3.0? We are getting better dot timers as well, which is going to be good again for dot specs. We can set up our dot timers, and we can only show debuffs that are on the boss, our own debuffs, which is good. Good again. It's good. We need a better dot tracker, because you see the amount of stacked dots that are on a boss right now. If you go look at any boss fight, you'll just see the crazy amount of dots that are stacked. And trying to tell your own dots from that is annoying. So if dot specs being made a bit more viable, a lot of love given to the dot specs, a lot of good quality of life stuff that we're getting there. As well, what else have we got? Procs now highlight. Your procs highlight on the hotbar. That's good again. Good to see. Bolster will take into account augments, so augments aren't free stats anymore, and augments are getting upgraded. Again, this is the thing that again, we kind of wanted, kind of expected augments to get a nice buff. So what is going to happen? Again, I don't like the fact they're renaming things. Madness is going to be hatred right now. So, and taunts now have a chance to miss. I don't like that. They're really forcing tanks into taking accuracy. Yes, you're going to get an accuracy boost. You are going to get more accuracy from gear. They've taken away the passive accuracy boost, which is kind of a shame. They're taking away the passive main stat boost, which means that we're going to be augmenting more for secondary stats, which is good. I would personally like them to take away primary stats from augments. Like, take away things like your main stat and endurance. Just ditch them. Have things like crit surge, power surge, maybe power accuracy, maybe those kind of things. Just secondary stats only would be nice for the augments. I think that would be a better use of the augment system, because if you had like a increased strength by 6% or increased strength by 3%, you were always going to take the strength, because every point of strength was going to get increased in the skill tree. So you would always take things like strength or willpower. So again, it would be nice to have options, basically, to how we augment our character. Can we augment for not endurance accuracy? I hate endurance in augments. I don't want more HP as a DPS class. I just don't want it. And a tank class, you don't want it either. It's not really in most of the tanking ones. It's mostly shield or defense, or I think absorption as well you get for the tank one. You kind of want those as a tank. But again, you don't really want that. So again, as a tank, you don't want too much endurance, because I think 40k HP is a bit excessive, so I don't want to be increasing endurance. They're also increasing the line of sight, which is decent, which means it will be making range DPS better. Is that a good idea in PvP? Is that really a smart thing to do for PvP? Hopefully it'll fix bugs like when you're on a staircase, for example, and you cannot see target, even though you can clearly see the target. The target is clearly in your line of sight, and it says target is not in line of sight, you know, for whatever reason. So hopefully that will get fixed. So anyway, that is all for the changes, the 3.0 changes. My sort of response, again, it's not a nerf. It's not a nerf. Those people who don't get what a nerf is, a nerf would be if we lost damage and they weren't rebalancing it, but they are going to balance it around these talents. So that is all for this video. So again, don't panic, calm down, stay calm, don't read the forums, it's funny, or go and read the forums if it's really funny. So don't panic at the DPS changes. They're probably not going to affect us in the way you think they're going to affect us, because the game will be rebalanced around them. So thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again soon, and goodbye.